you guys, I just want to take a few minutes and talk to you about what I have officially dubbed as Nerd Week. As some of you may know, yesterday was the birthday of Bilbo Baggins and Frodo Baggins, which makes this week Tolkien Week. Yesterday was Hobbit Day, this week is Tolkien Week, and that's basically just like, I guess, an opportunity for people to celebrate how incredibly fantastic Tolkien is, which, I mean, I think Tolkien is pretty amazing, all in all. I love The Hobbit, I love Lord of the Rings, I love the movies that they did based on those books, and I just think that he was fantastic. So, 2 enthusiastic thumbs up for J.R.R. Tolkien. He was kind of the boss. The other thing that is happening this week is that it is Banned Books Week. And Banned Books Week as a reader is my absolute favorite week of the year. I love it. It was one of my favorite times when I was at the library. It's something that I still celebrate to this day. And one thing that I do for Banned Books Week is every year I pick a banned book and I read it. So this year I'm going to read George Orwell's 1984. I've never read this book. It's actually Katie, our friend Kay. It's her favorite, one of her favorite books ever, and it's one I've always wanted to read, but I've never got around to it. So I'm officially going to make this 1984 my Banned Books Week book. And it'll go in my work bag, so it might take me more than a week to read it because I only have 20 minutes at work every day to read, which is kind of a bummer. And then, I have, 4 other books that I'm reading, in and out of stuff. So, 1984, Banned Books Week book. I'll do a review of this when I finish it, with a list of all the reasons that it's been banned and why I think those are maybe ridiculous reasons to do anything. The other thing that I've done to help you guys, well, I mean, I don't know, to help you guys, but to talk about Banned Books Week is to talk about what banned books are. A banned book is something that the American Library Association classifies as any book that has been challenged or removed from a library. So it doesn't matter if it was challenged or removed from a podunk town's library. It doesn't matter if it was a huge Chicago library. Regardless of that, if a book has been challenged, it goes on the banned books list. Which seems funny. And actually they have banned/challenged books, but they call it Banned Books Week. This dates back to the time when we were burning things that we didn't think people should have access to. And censorship in and of itself is really something that I am really passionate about. And I really struggle with that. I fully believe that it's your right to choose not to read something. And if you're a parent, it's your right to choose for your children not to read something. But I really struggle with anyone telling someone else that they are not allowed to have access to some form of knowledge. And that's what books are. It's a form of knowledge. So that's something that I really struggle with. And so I try to really be supportive of Banned Books Week whenever I do. Every year there's a teen book drop day during Teen Read Week, which is something else the American Library Association does. I always try to drop a banned book. I did a 30-day challenge in 2012, and I dropped books there, and I dropped books that had been banned or challenged frequently. And also the other thing about banning or challenging a book is that it just draws up more attention for that book. So, in a way, I'm bring it on. Bring it on. Let me know about more books I should be reading, more books I should love, and let me hear about it. But just really quickly, I wanted to give you guys a short list of books that are commonly challenged that I love, so that if you want to read a book this week that someone else has said no one should be allowed to read, you can join me. The first book is called 20 Boy Summer, and it is by Sarah Auckler. This book was challenged in 2011? Maybe, and they said that it was super, super trampy because there is a scene where intercourse is alluded to, and that's not appropriate for teenagers to read. So 20 Boy Summer. It's a fantastic coming of age story about a girl who goes on her summer vacation and has to deal with the loss of her best friend's older brother slash her boyfriend. And she's like a coming of age story and what is love and what does love mean to everyone. It's really, really good. The next one is Looking for Alaska by John Green. John Green is arguably my favorite young adult author and maybe my favorite author of all time. The stories he tells are heart-wrenching and they are passionate and they capture what it means to be a human. And I think that we could all do with a little more humanity in our lives. Looking for Alaska is a book about a boy who goes to boarding school and discovers that life is more than what it might seem. He goes to seek a great perhaps, and he finds all of those things. And there are tough questions about suffering and how do we escape suffering, and it deals with some religious themes broadly, and it deals with loving people and loving people in healthy ways. This book is banned because there is a really, really unsatisfactory sex scene that was written to show that intimacy doesn't happen through intercourse. So, spoilers. The next book I have is Sherman Alexi's The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. This is frequently banned because it uses racial slurs. This is a book about growing up on an Indian reservation and facing racism every day. So I think that that's a little bit ironic and a little bit missing the point of the novel if you are going to ban it because of racial slurs within a text in a book about racism. That's just not knowing what a book is about. Next is Speak by Lori House Anderson. This is a $3 copy because I have bought, in the past 3 years, I've probably bought 15 copies of this book and given it away. So when I find this book for $3, I buy it. And when I find this book for $12, I buy it then too. Speak is Lori House Anderson's, not really, maybe this is her first novel. It's her first novel that kind of exploded and made a big deal. This book was banned, or was challenged, the same time that 20 Boy Summer was, because it's considered pornographic. And this is not really a huge spoiler, but in this book, the main character deals with being raped. And to call a book about rape pornographic is also, I think, missing the point. But this book is really fantastic. It deals with it's so many issues that kids starting high school deal with. Both big things and also little things like not having somewhere to eat lunch or not feeling comfortable in a hallway. So Speak this is one of the most powerful books I've ever read in my entire life, and I think that the way the subject matter is handled is just beautiful. And I think that anyone, regardless of your age or regardless of your history, can get so much out of this book and gain so much understanding just from reading this it's really short book, this really short novel. The next books are some of my absolute favorites, but also they are banned for some of my favorite reasons. George Orwell's Animal Farm. This is one of those books. My light is going in and out because I keep showing you guys the books. Sorry that I'm half in a shadow and half out. George Orwell's Animal Farm is one of those books that I didn't read in high school, or I did read and I was like, who cares about talking pigs, whatever. And then I read this as an adult and I was like, oh my goodness, this has got it going on. So what I'm saying is if you're a teenager and you're reading this book for high school, don't do like me and blow it off. Like really, really read it because there's some powerful stuff in this book. This book was written basically about Stalinist Russia, and it took a lot of work for Orwell to get this book published because basically they thought that it was, they basically thought that this book was talking badly about like Britain's government, and really it wasn't. Or they thought that it was like saying that communism and socialism was a good way of life, and it's really talking about all of the issues that come along with those kind of government, those kind of governments. So again, just missing the whole allegorical point, the whole idea and theme of a novel. But Animal Farm has one of my favorite quotes in literature, and that is, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And I liked it so much that I copied it. And I underlined it, and I've got it written and posted on my bulletin board. And whenever people talk about equality, I kind of think about that line. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. So, Animal Farm, man, it's deep. Second to last in my list is The Hobbit by Tolkien. And just some background on Tolkien. He was like super big Christian, and he, was a pacifist, and he didn't want to fight in the war, and he just wanted to live his life and do his thing. But the big point is that he was a Christian. This book is actually written to support why Catholicism is very important in the life of England at the time. And this book is commonly banned/challenged because they say it has satanic elements in it. And I think that that is hilarious because, again, it's all about missing the point, I think. I think that every book that's challenged and banned, I just said challenged really strangely, it's about people who read something, and by something I mean open and read a random page, and they see something that they disagree with, and rather than figure out the point of the novel, they just say, this is not something that should be allowed. Period. Ever. Never be allowed. Ever. So, satanic elements in The Hobbit. So, I hope that none of you have been traumatized by the movies or the books. And this whole series, not just The Hobbit, but also the Lord of the Rings series. That's the number one reason it's challenged. I know, right? And then the last one, and of course this one is always one that I get I get het up about this. I get so passionate. But it is Harry Potter. Harry Potter is often challenged because people think that it has too much witchcraft and wizardry in it. And to that I always say, it's a book about magic and a magic school. And when people ask me, questions about that, but what about, religion, and what about those things, I say, this is a fantasy novel, and it has witches, it has wizards in it, and that doesn't mean that I can't follow a religion. It just means that I can enjoy a children's book. And it doesn't mean your kids are going to grow up and, okay, that's a lie. Your kids are probably going to grow up and want to be a witch or a wizard, because I'm 30 and I want to be a witch and a wizard. I want to be Hermione Granger. But the thing about this is, it's one of those things, and my argument is always, do you let your kid watch Disney movies? Because, let me tell you, Maleficent, she's a lot more, scary and deranged than the stuff that happens in the early Harry Potter books. As it goes on, it gets dark, and I don't think that those are books that are necessarily something all kids should be reading, because they get, I sob uncontrollably when I read the last of them, and I think you need an age of maturity with them to read it, but these are the best books ever, and they teach you so much about life and about what is good and what is right in this world. And if you haven't read Harry Potter yet, then I think that that's something that you should do, because they're amazing. Basically, the whole point of this, and this is a long video, and I apologize for that, and I hope that if you have watched it and you've gotten this far, that I haven't offended you, because I respect your right to read whatever you want to read. And I think that's kind of the point of Banned Books Week. I respect your right to read or not read whatever book you want to read. If you think that 50 Shades of Grey is the best thing that's ever been written, that's okay. If the last book you read was The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle, that's alright too. If you don't like Dr. Seuss, it happens. But the thing is, you should be able to make your own decisions, and those books should be available for you, and you should have the right to choose that. Should you choose that for your children? Absolutely. Your kids don't have the reasoning skill necessarily that it takes to understand that they're not quite ready for a book about a 9th grader who was raped. And that's part of being a parent. But part of the thing about this week that I love so much is celebrating things that I understand and that I love, and bringing those things to people that maybe don't have the opportunity to do that because it's not on their library shelves. So, if you guys have a favorite banned book, I'm going to put some resources down below. And if you guys have a favorite banned book, or if you look at those lists and you're like, oh my goodness, that's the most hilarious reason to ban a book I've ever seen, share it with me. If you personally have ever been part of a school system or a community that has had to deal with a banned or a challenged book and you think that's a hilarious story, let us know in the doobly-doo. And I will be back later this week, I think, with some book reviews, because I've read like 6 books this month, which is ridiculous. I don't understand how that's even happened. And I kind of wrote up some mini reviews, so I will be back later this week.